Hi, this is Man-Made Mead, back today with another mead. We're doing the September monthly mead, which I have decided, since it's just the first start, I want to try a mango mead. I picked up a 3-pound container of puree'd mango that I think will be really good. And I'm going to try it. I'm all about trying different meads. One thing I want to do with you guys as you're watching is, if you have an idea for a mead, bring it on, tell me, and I might just try it, especially for these monthly meads. Hopefully by the end of the year there'll be 12 we've done, and I'll get to try, well, by next year, probably the mango mead that we're doing today. So I hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, comments, anything, advice, that would be awesome. I appreciate it. So thank you so much for watching. All right, so we have all the stuff we need for this mango mead. It's gonna be a 2-gallon batch. I'm gonna use 6 pounds of honey. The honey I have for today, which this is a 12-gallon batch, or container, excuse me, is this Desert Creek honey. Is from Texas. I'm gonna use about 6 pounds of it, so probably to around here. I'm also going to put in this mango puree, and then the yeast I'm using is K1-V1116. I like using this yeast for generally for using fruits. My other yeasts, one is for mainly using darker fruits. The other one is going to be just a generic one for honey. So I like this one. It's great for doing fruit stuff. So 2 gallons of water. We have a 3-gallon fermenter here, so we should have plenty of room. I'm gonna do most of my shaking in this because it's easier than trying to stir all the honey together. And then that's pretty much it. So the first things first, we can get our yeast started. We're going to warm up some water to about 105 degrees and then put our yeast in that and let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes. The package says 15, but I like going a little further to let the yeast start. So I'm gonna get that started first. Okay, so now we can go ahead and get started mixing some of the honey water while this heats up to about 105 degrees. We need our water, of course, our funnel, and everything that I am using today has been sanitized with this one-step homebrew sanitizer. I really like it. It's really easy. You don't have to rinse after. It's great. So I'll put this and everything I'm using in the description. You can go ahead and put some of this honey in. For a second and get our 3-gallon fermenter ready. Like I said, this has been sanitized, ready for use. And a lot of people will say that they don't want to use plastic fermenters, which I agree. And ultimately, this won't sit in here forever. I'm going to get a glass carboy to put it in. So for those of you that think that this is wrong, I understand. However, it won't be in there forever. So no need to worry. Alright, so we have shaken this up. We're going to go ahead and pour it in. This is about, I'll say close to half our must. Okay, check our temperature in our water. Like using a electric thermometer. We're at about 95 degrees, so that still has a few minutes to go. While we're waiting, let's make some more must. And you can use, I'm using room temperature water. You can use hotter water. I'll probably use the water I use, or that I don't use for my yeast in this must, and that'll help it all coagulate as it starts going. So we have a little honey left in here. We're at probably about 4 gallons, I would say, 4 pounds, excuse me. Alright, so I've used probably about 6 pounds, just play it safe. About 6 pounds of honey from my 12-gallon that I have, which is great. So now, we shake this one up. Let's check our temperature first. Alright, our water is 105 degrees, so we're going to go ahead and start the yeast. I'll just use a bowl, and I'm going to quickly sanitize this real fast. Okay, now we have our bowl. We're going to put some of our water into this bowl. And then we're using our K1-V1116 yeast. Put it in. And we stir. Okay, so now that that's going, I'll stir in just a few minutes. We're gonna shake this up. Okay, so now I'm going to keep shaking this for a second. I'm going to use the hot water that we had from before, that we didn't use for our yeast, into here. And we're going to mix this must and our hot water, and then the rest of our actual just spring water into this as well. Okay, so we're going to put our must in. Okay, now in order to get all the rest of this water, or excuse me, maybe some of the honey that was on the sides of this, pour this in here. I'm gonna give it a shake around. All right, just a couple shakes. The rest of our spring water in. Here is our hot water. Hotter water, I should say. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to put our mango in while we wait for our yeast. Here's our puree'd mango, as you can see. we're gonna go ahead and grab a spoon, do some mixing with. All right, so we have our spoon. Now we're gonna put our mango in. This is why we used a 3 gallon instead of a 2, so we have some room, a little bit of room. Stir this around. All right, so we're gonna let that sit just a few minutes. And while we wait for our yeast, we're just going to actually fix our nutrient and our yeast energizer. Now I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so we're gonna use a nutrient and yeast energizer mix. Here we have our yeast nutrient, our yeast energizer. And rather than put them all in at once, I've learned, and I think it's best if you actually stagger them. So we're going to do a mix, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, ultimately for this, since this is a 2 gallon batch, we're gonna need, as listed here, we need 2 teaspoons of our nutrient and 1 teaspoon of our yeast energizer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them into this bag and mix them. And over the course of the next couple days, I'm gonna put more and more in, and then there's gonna be a last kind of installment, so to speak, that we'll put in way later on, probably a couple weeks from now as fermentation goes. And this allows the yeast to have nutrients the entire time rather than just overstimulate them. So here we go. All right, so now, kind of like cinnamon and brown sugar, I'm gonna mix it up. And we're going to put, in this first time, when we put our yeast in, we're gonna put 3/4 of a teaspoon of this in. And then 24 hours from now, we're gonna put 3/4 more, 48 hours, another 3/4 more, and then from there, just a little bit later on. So, that is how we're gonna do our installments. Now let's wait for our yeast. All right, so our yeast is done. Sitting, it is activated, so what we're going to do is add it to the must. Okay. Now, as far as our nutrients are concerned, we want to get a little bit of this must. A little bit of this must into a cup. We're gonna add, like I said earlier, 3/4 of a teaspoon. So we're gonna add that. This is half teaspoon and quarter. Rather than adding straight to it, it won't cause any too much foaming right now, but I'm just gonna play it safe. Add it to a little bit of our must. Get a good stir. We add that in. Now, simply, you stir the whole thing like you would shake. Obviously, I'm not gonna shake this thing. I will say it smells really good already. It's gonna be awesome to try, even in just a little bit of time. And I like that the puree has totally mixed with the water. There's no settling at the bottom of it so far. Now we'll see with the fermentation process how much stuff settles, but I'm excited to try it for sure. All right, so now we take our lid, put it on firmly. All right, that's all on. We're going to take our airlock, put it in here. All right, and now I'm going to label it, but I'm going to label it a little differently. I have a number system since right now I have a total of 9 meads started that I'm basically just keeping a document with everything. So I'm just using number 8. I'm gonna put when it was started and what stage. We're in the primary stage. So now that this is done, I hope you've enjoyed. This has been a fun one to make. The monthly mead, September monthly mead. Obviously, I'm going to continue doing more of these, so if you have any ideas, please share. I would love to try things, and